It's time for me for another vlogging moment, and as you can see, I made some new decorations on my wall here. See, I'm gonna do this eventually, more or less. But okay. So anyway, the topic of today: Solo, a Star Wars movie. As you can see, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan in the universe, but I'm also a guy who has a slight admiration to Star Wars, because I'm a little bit more knowledgeable to Star Wars compared to, well, Star Trek. And there are some things that I like, some things I dislike, but let's say that my disappointment of The Last Jedi it wasn't enough to say that, oh god, they ruined Star Wars, I'm gonna hate it so much that I'm gonna boycott everything Star Wars. Well, you decide to boycott Star Wars after the fiasco of The Last Jedi, I understand. But since I am a little bit of a movie critic, sometimes I have to watch the bad things and the good things here and there. So, I wasn't faced to go into the Solo Star Wars story. I just wanted to see, okay, how this movie will be as fun as the other ones. So I went there, and I wholeheartedly gonna say that I was thoroughly entertained. There are some good things about the Solo movie, but not exactly I'll say that it's a masterpiece. I'll say this at least. It's a little bit better than Rogue One. I'm gonna say that I'm one of the few people who did enjoy Rogue One, a Star Wars story. But I'll say that this movie, that the Han Solo movie is, well, I will say that it's better than The Last Jedi. That will probably make you change your mind, saying that, okay, maybe there's some redeeming quality on Star Wars. This movie, let's say that it plays out on both sides. There are some points that you might say that it wasn't necessary, or some points that, how can I say it? It's a little bit hard to tell. I'm just trying to say that despite the good things that this movie gives, it's not very impactful, so it's technically forgettable in a way. I mean, look at me right now in the video that I'm almost forgetting this movie because it's not very spectacular. It's just a popcorn film. No wonder they released this Star Wars movie on summer instead of the usual, which was December. Okay, so anyway, let's start off this review properly. The Solo, Star Wars movie is technically a prequel movie that tells us the escapades of a younger Han Solo, this time played by this guy named Alden Ehrenreich. And for the guy, he does manage to capture some of the personalities that Harrison Ford gave to Han Solo, but not on its entirety in a way. Sometimes he comes off as just a guy who he's just smug, he's just there, but he does give his best. I'll give it that. So technically, that's pretty much the basis of the story. We only see in which Han Solo apparently, when he was young, he lived in a smuggler country, so he becomes a little bit of a smuggler. He had this love interest played by Emilia Clarke, and well, they got separated. Han Solo, he has his dreams that he wants to be a pilot, and so he joins the Empire in order to hone his skill, to get his skills as a pilot. But because he is very much a rogue, he doesn't follow orders, he tries to find better ways to do all these things, and well, then he joins a group of smugglers that was infiltrating the Empire. One of them played by Woody Harrelson, a guy named, what was the guy? Beckett. And during those And during that escapade from the Empire, he also meets Chewbacca. And pretty much the movie is a very long heist movie in which after, let's say that after a heist that took the lives of two Han Solo gets involved into this, how can I say, this smuggler operation unit run by this guy played. I have it on IMDb here. I got an IMDb here. How can I say? I'm not very good with. Paul. It is played by Paul Bettany, which is apparently this smuggler organization, and that in which Beckett kind of owes them a lot of money. Then Han Solo finds Emilia Clarke character, which is a character named Kira, let's say. And technically they're going to make a heist in another planet to get. Apparently there's some kind of hyperfuel, which this is the best thing I can understand, which is technically a fuel that, despite being highly explosive, it is worth a lot of money. And that's pretty much the least I could say about this movie in non-spoilerish way. So if I go to spoilers, it is technically right now. So if you don't want spoilers, you can stop this video right now. But I'll say this mostly that the movie's okay. Just is okay for at least for a Star Wars film or a film in general. You're gonna forget some stuff. It's not very memorable. But if you're just going there just for the fun of it, there's some cool action scenes and some great cinematography in which you can see in any Star Wars movie. That's pretty much the least unspoilerish way I can say about this movie. So let's go with a little bit more detail about what do I think about this movie. One of the few issues that I have with the movie is that for a Han Solo movie, it doesn't go too deep on the character of Han Solo. I know that I heard people kind of complain that saying that, yeah, it's some things that we already know and what we expect from the character in a way. Let me a little bit put into defense by saying that even if we know, sometimes it could be a lot of fun to watch and see the events unfold with our eyes. Sometimes what we have in our mind and what we see on the screen, even if it will take us off of our how can I say, imagination. There's a little bit of a charm to see prequels and how things have been done or something like that. Maybe it kind of looks like I'm defending prequel, let's say, but you know what? I do have my pros and my cons on prequels, but I don't feel like talking about it right now. But I will say this, is that, yes, one of the things that mostly kind of bother me about this movie is that ever since the new trilogy of Star Wars, they always wanted to put on focus the dice chain of Han Solo. And you know what? I saw the other Star Wars movies and never in my mind thought that the chains and the dice was about Han Solo, were Han Solo's thing. I mean, and I wanted to know about if the Solo movie could reveal me that. What is the importance of those chains? But you know what? It never does. It never does. He only gives it to people that he cares, and then he gets it back, and that's it. The least thing he says is that it is kind of like his lucky charm. I wish that for a prequel, they could actually tell us why this charm is important to him. we didn't get. That's the only thing. So technically, what we got is kind of like a big heist movie that is just people meeting each other, and it honestly, now that I think of it, it felt like a prequel or a pilot for a TV series for a Han Solo TV series. That's pretty much it. If you hear something, there are some birds, and the bird up there just singing. So what else? What else there are? The other characters were okay, I'll say. Emilia Clarke is an okay character, but I think probably the movie was a little bit better off without her. She's just kind of like let's say that the woman thing here and there at her. But luckily she's not that. She's okay. I'll say that it's just okay. Woody Harrelson, he kind of plays like a mix between a mentor and a guy who goes on his own. Let's say that he's a guy who doesn't trust anyone, but he just goes along with others just because, well, he only sees the benefit out of it. And yeah, he throws up some kind of surprise twist that, in a way, I honestly thought I never saw it coming. Maybe because I was too distracted on the fun stuff that there is here and there. But let's say that the fate of, what was it, Beckett. He is, yeah, for some reason it reminded me of the Guido shoot first thing. It's so. Let's say, I'll leave it like that. When you watch the movie, it'll be great if you comment out of it and make a discussion that the final fate of Beckett kind of reminds you of the Guido shoot first thing. There's also Chewbacca, who he's always the same. As long as they don't put him in the holiday special, I'm in. But speaking of which, we almost got this close to have a reference to the holiday special, because Chewbacca kind of mentioned that he has a tribe and a family. Wouldn't it be funny if they really come up with by making a cameo of his wife, his father, and his son Lumpy? We thought in the trailer that was gonna happen, but you know what? It didn't. I know that this holiday special is awful, but you know what? I wouldn't mind if this was officially canon. You know what? If Star Wars is going on with the jokes and humor nowadays, why not? Why not? Let it open for the Star Wars holiday special. No matter how many times George Lucas wanted out of his life. And speaking of humor, this is also a little bit of what I do consider one of the weakest parts of the movie. The humor is so-so. It doesn't leave you laughing or something like that. And honestly, I will say that sometimes I think that Star Wars probably is not the correct one of the correct franchises to involve heavy humor. There is humor on the original ones. I'm open to humor. But a little bit what Star Wars fails something, and kind of like the majority of the time, is that the humor should have a correct timing. There's a time and a place to do this. And well, I'm kind of glad that the humor on this movie, the Solo one, it is timed well. It's just that they don't land as much as it is. Sorry about that. I got a little bit of sniffles. It has the good timing, but I don't think that the jokes were funny enough. Let's say. But you know what? I'd rather take that than the constant humor that they did on Clone Wars. But let me tell you, despite the nitpicks that I've been talking about this movie has actually one gold silver lining in this one. And that one is none other than Donald Glover playing Lando. This guy was the best part of the movie. Because I don't know what Donald Glover did, but he managed to capture the Lando character from the original perfectly. And he was so charismatic and so good at his craft that it was amazing. This movie, how can I say it? I was kind of like a little disappointing on Last Jedi that we didn't see Lando. Because honestly, Lando is actually one of the key characters from the original trilogies. We finally get our chance to see him here, and he's amazing. I gotta admit that Lando was an amazing character in this series. Remember that I talked about the humor and the charisma of Star Wars, how they should be timed well. Well, apparently the humor should also be pinpointed to the correct character, and man, that Lando delivers. Oh, and also there's a little bit I was kind of getting worried when we see that Lando has as assistant this robot called L337, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Why I was worried about her? Because this robot during the whole movie, it was like constantly talking about robot rights, protesting about the robots have free will and all this stuff, and it has a little bit of a feminist look, feminist talk here and there, and all this stuff. And I was getting worried. In my face, it's like, oh no, SJW robot. But still, I'm glad that it didn't come off as an annoying character or something like an SJW agenda like the Last Jedi wanted to shoehorn in. It didn't get too far with that. Actually, this character technically become like an impromptu improvised help, and which kind of comes off as one of the best moments in the movie, in which they make this hike, and in order to make a distraction, she makes not only a robot revolution but also a slave revolution on the planet they are heisting. So let's say that sometimes that SJW come in handy sometimes. I'm not gonna and yeah, by the way, the movie also shows the Millennium Falcon, it is always a blast to watch the Millennium Falcon going through space. And there's this awesome action scene that involves not only the TIE fighters and the Millennium Falcon, but it also jumps into a black hole and a tentacle creature. Honestly, that part was technically scary and also really awesome for an action scene. I'm serious, because this tentacle being is pretty scary. And when I think about it, in which if you are in space and you find out that floating through space there's this giant tentacle creature roaming around, that kind of makes space really a scary place when you think about it. So kudos to that. I hope that we get to see a lot of more of those Star Wars creatures in the future movies. And I don't know why, but for some reason this monster kind of made me remind me of the Calm Belt from One Piece, in which in this anime series there is this area called the Calm Belt, which is where the water is calm, but it is the house of many dangerous sea creatures. That's what this monster reminded me. Okay, what else I can talk about this movie? I think there is nothing else I could talk about it. It has some the cinematography and music is what you expect from Star Wars. And but on the get go, I was entertained. I was totally entertained by this movie. It's a little bit forgettable. I'll give it that for the people who are gonna criticize it heavily. I'm not the biggest giant Star Wars cultist in the world. I just an admirer of it. But for just a Star Wars movie, I'm okay with it. You wanna watch it? Yeah, check it out. It's luckily it's pretty much a harmless Star Wars movie compared to the last Jedi, and that is technically saying something. Again, my only nitpick: we didn't go as so deep into the life of Han Solo, and we didn't get to see the importance of the dice, which I was always curious. Oh! I almost forgot. There is a cameo um at the end. Yeah, a spoiler just in case. I never expected that cameo. Felt like a little bit of a useless cameo, but it was a little bit of a treat. Okay, the cameo is none other than Darth Maul. Yep, we see Darth Maul making a cameo, a speaking cameo, in which apparently he took his new apprentice, Kira, or something like that. Although I don't understand that whole myth of Darth Maul. I do know that that on Star Wars Clone Wars, he was shown that he survived the seemingly killing blow from the Phantom Menace, just in case. But either way, it was kind of like a treat, but sometimes it makes people a little bit confused. So does that mean that Rebels and Clone Wars are canon or not canon? Please let me, please. I want to know which one is canon and which one is not. Thank you, Disney. You turn Star Wars into a canonical stew. That's all I have to say. Solo, a Star Wars movie, is okay. It's better than Last Jedi. It's a little bit better than Rogue One, which I'm on the minority that I did enjoy it. Just take it as you will. So, see you around, and may the Force be with you.